Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Thursday, November 14th, 2019. Our solar wind speeds are coming in at 347.5 kilometers per second with a density of 4.6. That sunspot that we were talking about yesterday is no longer existing. Didn't even make it past 36 hours. We had a possible name for it, AR2752. Never even got labeled. No more. I know you still see the active region down there, but it is no longer considered a sunspot. So now we go ahead and start the streakless days without sunspots. Now, first day, 237 in 2019. And taking a look at that coronal hole that is finally, starting to turn away from Earth. And we should see the effects from this on November 16th through the 17th. My guess is it's going to be at an early 17th, an arrival there. KP indices are sitting at a 1 right now, and a 24-hour max is at a 2. Our TCI has been unchanged since last night's broadcast. We're sitting at a 3.79 on the TCI. And let's take a look and see if we have anything cooking on the other side of the sun. Right now, that is Earth facing. There's our bright active region in the southern hemisphere. A couple little spots back there just beyond the eastern limb, and also another coronal hole, decent size, but it's going to be really far south of the equator, so may not even affect Earth as far as this coronal hole is concerned. So, all right, let's take a look at a couple of headlines here before we get into our weather reports. Right now, we are dealing with some major flooding in parts of the UK. Parts of the East Midlands and Yorkshire have been warned that they could see further devastating floods in the days to come. The Met Office has issued a warning that there could be a danger to life in parts of the region that are still recovering from floods, which began last week. A yellow weather warning for rain is in place for areas around Nottingham, Sheffield, and Doncaster from around 9 a.m. today. Let's go ahead and pop this up real quick. All right. The heaviest of the rain is expected to hit the area between 9 and 10 a.m. It also says here forecasters are predicting anywhere from 35 millimeters to 45 millimeters of rain. 33 flood warnings are in place across the region after the Met Office warned there could be a risk of life because these areas are very waterlogged already. Met Office meteorologist Luke Mile, the worst of the winter weather has now moved through the southwest, but it's the same one that's going to push its way north and will affect the flooded areas from last week. So you can see here on the live radar, very heavy rain right now across England, now moving into Wales. Very heavy, consistent rain going from south to north, just kind of churning around. And then we see even heavier rain heading towards Milan, as we are also covering a story that's another major flood. And then we have pictures of snow as well after the floods. But Boris Johnson visited Stainforth, South Yorkshire on Wednesday. One woman helping the recovery effort told him, "You have not helped us," to the press. "I don't know why you're here today for." And Mr. Johnson said, another one said, "You've took your time, Boris, haven't you?" Mr. Johnson insisting that we've been on it round the clock. A little bit of shade throwing at President Boris. Of course, whatever disaster happens, a lot of times the finger does get pointed at the ones who are in charge. Again, I'm not going to weigh in on that opinion. Taking a look here further into this article, it says, meanwhile, as Yorkshire prepared for more rain, parts of England and Wales are expecting snow. Dartmoor was covered in snow Wednesday evening, and the police in the Welsh town of, that is a real town. Here, I'm going to put this back up real quick, actually. I thought somebody was joking, and folks, I don't care who you are, unless you're from this area, you want to commit media suicide, try to pronounce that name. All right, Somebody put this in a comment because I was having trouble the other day pronouncing a town out there, and I thought this was a joke. Yeah. So, anyway, that area there warned people to travel only if necessary. The weather saw several people stranded. The Met Office has issued yellow weather warnings for snow in parts of South Wales and West England between Bath, Oxford, and Worcester. Rain further to south of East England, including London, and in the East Midlands as well. Ice in eastern coastal regions of Scotland from Kelso to North Elgin. So that is our UK weather update. But folks, it is not fun right now. And like I said, you can see this area of heavy rain moving about. Let's take a look here. This is what we're concerned with right here, is the amount of rain and the consistency of it. It's just sitting there in one area, kind of just stalling out. So we will keep our eyes and ears to the ground here. Pardon me. Also, want to point out real quick before we head to this next headline, this amount of rain here, let's hope that this system doesn't decide to continue to move towards the trend, which is east. And I'm pointing at Venice right now because they are also in the news right now. Devastating flooding scenes are coming in from Venice, Italy. The city experiences the highest tide and flooding in the past 50 years. A state of emergency is declared and heavy rain and wind will continue. Full moon, an area of low air pressure, and high winds are never a good combination for coastal areas. The city of Venice experienced that firsthand on November 12th. A very strong tide combined with strong storm surge caused devastating flooding, the worst in the past 50 years. By current reports, the water levels in the city are near 190 centimeters, which is the second highest in known history and the highest in the last 50 years. Over 85% of the city is underwater. Let's take a look at some of the footage that we have for Venice. Check this out, guys. Wow. 85% of the city is underwater. So we are dealing with some weather here overseas. Not the pictures I would have wanted. Let's see if I can get some stuff here. And it's just amazing to see the water levels right now. That's some serious flooding, folks. It looks like it's going above their ankles at least, but nonetheless, still a pain in the butt. And just put another mark in your belt for areas that's been flooded with standing water where it looks like lakes and ponds. Again, these are pretty stunning pictures. And looking at this radar, the concern is right here. This system here continues to churn east with more heavy rain possible on the way. So we will continue to monitor the situation across the pond. Meanwhile, here in the United States, pretty boring. We got some light snow showers developing across the state of New York, parts of eastern Ohio, and some rain showers in Houston. Some of that is heavy right now. See if I can put that in motion real quick. Yeah, just some heavy rain coming in from the Gulf, but Denver, you're seeing some snow showers as well. No watches and warnings really to speak of at this time, just a few minor ones, but nothing crazy going on today. This is what it feels like right now in the United States of America. If you live on the West Coast, feeling pretty good. Live in Florida, feeling pretty good. The rest of us, we're freezing our butts off. Taking a look at current wind chills. Yeah, that's still pretty cold out there, folks. -2 on the state line of North Dakota and Minnesota. I'm sure millennial farmer waking up to a brisk 5-degree wind chill today to work in his field is not what he had in mind. That frost freeze line temperature, that is starting to rise a little bit. Today is sort of a bounce back day, but then tomorrow temperatures are expected to crash again in certain parts. And let's take a look at why, and this little big cold front has a lot to do with it. Let's see if I can get this arrow up here, folks. Sorry about that. Whoa, that's a giant arrow. So let's shrink that down a little bit. Okay, so this little front right here, by the way, we were looking at this front last night, and this is typical, this is almost identical, I should say, to the system that we had November 12th of 1911. But anyway, so here is our cold front that's coming through right now. This is why we're being allowed to possibly feel like we're in the 40s today, or it is going to be the 40s today for parts of New York. But this cold front is going to reinforce more cold air into the region for the weekend. There it is, that cold front moving through already by Friday. And then another shot of cold Arctic air moving in from the north. And there you go. So this pattern right here is explaining what I've been trying to talk about the last couple of shows, where we're going to see cold in the northeast and cold in the northwest. This is that in-between transition phase. Usually we're going to likely see this cold front and keep this part of our country. We're right along this front, basically, is where I expect to see the coldest air and the most snow this year in the United States moving forward. Not saying that we're not going to see anything back here, but this seems to be a storyline, and a lot of forecast models are showing where we're going to see a lot of the cold and a lot of the snow for the winter. But again, not out of the question to see this pattern, cold in the northwest and northeast at the same time. What does this mean right here, temperature-wise? It is going to warm up a little bit more unseasonable, and this is good for our farmers, too, who are doing field work, especially in Nebraska, Missouri, and Iowa. They need this dry weather, and they need warmer temperatures. They need favorable conditions. Actually, I take that back. If we have any snow cover right now in those areas and the ground is frozen, they really don't want it to warm up at this point, because then it'll turn into a giant muddy pit. So I'm going to have to go ahead and retract that. But looking at the GFS, high pressure dominating the majority parts of the United States. We got a coastal flooding situation possible for the weekend. But really, guys, we've got some dry weather coming up for most of us in the United States. Got a system that's going to affect northern Minnesota by Sunday, and then move into Wisconsin and into the Great Lakes as we move towards Monday. But other than that, we're pretty dry for the most part. Tuesday on the 19th, a little system quickly moves through the middle part of the United States. Now, that little storm that we said is not going to be anything on the East Coast, well, this thing is not moving out to sea like it originally was forecasted. So I want to say, let's keep an eye on this particular storm right now. This could be a pretty weird one for the coast. Ice is being predicted now for New York City and Boston and through parts of Maine. That's a pretty strong ice line, if you ask me, folks. That's a very dark pink. That has some concern. And as this thing churns to the north, well, this back end is going to spin back into inland. Look at that. So we could be talking about a significant icing here for Tuesday, November 19th, and then some snow on top of it before that system moves out. But for our farmers, just a minor little low pressure system moving through. Temperatures are going to stay cold for the most part. And like I said, a lot of these farmers out here don't want to see it warm up. And then unfortunately here on the 21st, we are going to see some moderation in temperatures. So field conditions are probably not going to be the best here on the 22nd. That's next week, guys. That's late next week. So get in what you can get in now, unfortunately, because we do not have weather cooperating with us past next week. But realistically, for the mid part of this United States, I mean, that little low pressure system for Minnesota, and that's it, guys. So Nebraska, Kansas, South Dakota, Missouri, Iowa, Illinois, Arkansas. If you guys haven't got your field work done, this is going to be a good opportunity to get it all done. And hopefully a lot of farmers are trying to push. Some are saying maybe Thanksgiving they'll have their harvesting done at that point. So we'll keep our eyes on the weather here in the States. And as well, guys, you know, this stuff right here is definitely serious as well. The floods in Venice. These are some rare pictures. We're not used to seeing stuff like this. And then, of course, here, our friends across the pond as well in the UK. Very concerning right now. We've seen these kind of pictures pretty much throughout the spring and summer of 2019. And now we're in the fall and winter, and we're seeing it in Europe. So, again, we'll keep our eyes on this. If there's anything breaking, we will be live on the air to report it. If not, we will see you guys live tomorrow morning with our next Grand Solar Minimum News update, and then our live Patreon call-in show Friday night at 9 p.m. And I guess, guys, have a great day, and we will talk soon. Take care.
Do you like this show? Give us a thumbs up. Want to support us more? Share to your favorite social media platform, buy a t-shirt, or become a Patreon. All links are in the description below.